Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 102 of Cinesmack, the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, filmmaker and owner of Arizona Ink Studios, Andrew, I lose my blouse, Zumwalt.
I'm gonna be getting a bra next year. Okay, well, maybe in a year or two, because I'm gonna get my bra. It'll be time.
You need some support.
I do.
Second, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel, blow it out your bunghole, Rollwald.
Wow. This episode is sure to be a home run.
Wait, what movies are we doing? Because if that's a moment, I think I watched the wrong movies.
Third, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom, piss on old time hockey haggis.
Oh, okay, Slapshot. Nope, I did watch the right ones. Okay, yep, I'm good.
Fourth, writer, actor, and director Kyle, a stretcher for his balls? Fine.
That's accurate. You know, when I was a kid, it didn't take a federal injunction for me to suck ass at baseball. Also, I took 2 Unisoms, so this is going to be fucking fun.
The clock's ticking.
Clock is ticking.
Let's see how far we get before I just nod off.
Will we get his pick tonight?
Shots of NyQuil. Shots of NyQuil.
Here we go.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and poke the monkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, goalies and shortstops, welcome to the main event. Tonight, 2 70s sports classics face off as we see who goes top shelf and who strikes out. It's a night of bad athletes and even worse fashion. In the dugout from 1976. Written by Bill Lancaster. Directed by Michael Ritchie. Leading off with Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, and Jackie Earl Haley. Bad News Bear. And in the penalty box from 1977. Written by Nancy Dowd. Directed by George Roy Hill. With a first line of Paul Newman, Strother Martin, and Michael O'Keefe. Slapshot!
I remember loving Bad News Bears. I actually didn't see Slapshot till, the early 2000s? I'd never seen it. And I'm ready to hear what you guys have to say about both films. So since we're on borrowed time, thanks, Kyle. Oh, God, he's out. All right. We can slow down.
That's just my sleep apnea. Don't worry about it.
Let's.
He is awake apnea.
Awake
I have
nappy.
waking apnea.
I can't say it.
My doctor said I've got, maybe 6 months.
Isn't that like narcolepsy?
Well, no, my throat collapses while I'm awake.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So that's not.
He has to wear a CPAP machine during the day.
Kyle,
Yes.
Kyle, do you clean your CPAP machine correctly?
No, because it's only my germs, so I can't get myself sick.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Good.
I believe that.
Checks out.
For those listeners out there, please don't follow that ever.
I have never had MRSA more than 2 or 3 times in my life. So, and it wasn't that bad. I didn't even die.
All right, let's move on to our first round, which is writing.
When I rewatched Bad News Bears, I realized maybe I hadn't actually watched it before. I feel like a movie like Bad News Bears has kind of entered the kind of, zeitgeist and is just kind of part of our culture. And we kind of know what it's about and what it refers to, and but when I watched it, I was like, I don't remember having ever seen this. So either my memory is really terrible, or I never saw it until just recently, and I was actually happily surprised. I kind of enjoyed it more than I expected to. I always thought of it as kind of a low budget kind of, kind of not well made type of film, but I kind of enjoyed it, and I thought it was pretty well written. I liked the characters. It was strangely dark at times, with the whole alcoholism and those kinds of topics being kind of touched upon. But it was also kind of charming and fun and uplifting at the same time. So I think I enjoyed it more than I expected. But now it's for me, and I have a feeling I'm going to clash with Tom maybe, I don't know, on this. I did not have the same feelings about Slapshot. I did not find Slapshot funny. I barely laughed, and I found it hard to get through. And I thought I felt like the writing was kind of disjointed, and it just really didn't catch my interest. The characters were mostly kind of unpleasant and unlikable, and the stuff that was supposed to be funny just wasn't that funny. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I found Bad News Bears charming and Slapshot barely watchable.
That's interesting. Has anybody watched the 2004 Bad News Bears?
2000, yeah,
with Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes. So I saw Bad News Bears probably when I was much, much younger, and Slapshot I came to like probably in my early 30s. I'd never seen it before, but the original Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau, it has a kind of a sweetness to it. He's a very likable character, even though he's a curmudgeon and a drunk. You sort of like him, and he seems to care for the kids, and he's not overly he's critical and stuff like that, but he's not a jerk. The 2004 is such a reflection of more of a modern movie. Billy Bob Thornton's just an asshole to these kids, and it's really funny, but it's very different, and it takes it's a fine line to walk when you have a guy being mean to kids, and these are not idealized kids either. They're all like basket cases and stuff. And I think they pulled that off really well. They walked that line really nicely between sort of a sentimental movie and a funny. These movies to me seem almost like soft parodies. Like they're parodies of sports movies, and they're, but they're not like Airplane, Naked Gun level, like super. But they're not serious sports movies either. Slapshot, I agree with you, is a little disjointed in the writing. It's more of a tale of a declining city and, a fading star and like all these personality clashes and things like that on this small town hockey team. I still think it's written decently, and there aren't a ton of hockey movies. I would say Slapshot is one of the better written hockey movies outside the Mighty Ducks, of course, especially Mighty Ducks 3 when they all get sound effects. It's my favorite part. They all have cartoon sound effects.
Goon
is a really interesting one too. This is like it's not glamorized like Miracle or something like that. Like it's very, very dirty amateur level hockey, and it kind of lives in that world. It's almost like Bull Durham, and that way it's like a peak at not so glamorous sport. It's kind of interesting.
Which is funny because I think those movies are actually more truthful to what sports are actually like. I mean, you know, the For the Love of the Game, the Kevin Costner one where he's the Tigers pitcher pitching the perfect games. I mean, real sports, like 99.9%, 99.5% of the sports out there is like Bad News Bears and Slapshot. A majority of people suck at sports, and it's hard to even like get a game going. And that's what I've loved about both these movies is that they really kind of encapsulate what it's like to be an average person approaching sports, because it's just it's not an easy thing just to go out and just do, you know.
I love that Buttermaker is like a local hero, even though he was a burnout in the majors. Like everybody knows him for his little time in the majors, even though he only pitched like 2/3 of an inning and played minor league ball. It's pretty funny. It's kind of what it's like in a small town where you have that one famous guy from your small town.
Who's famous for not being famous?
Right. He was great in high school. And then what happened to that guy?
Yeah. And I think,
now he's drinking half beer, half whiskey.
Yeah, I know. That's my breakfast.
Disgusting.
But I did think, though, that Slapshot, it was interesting that Slapshot was based on basically a true story to a certain degree. I mean, it was kind of based on real teams and real people. And this kind of falls into the next category, so I won't spend too much time on it. But, you know, they did feature some real hockey players, which I thought was kind of interesting in Slapshot. I didn't absolutely hate Slapshot, but you have to know kind of like some of that. You have to know who those people are and some of the backstory to the movie to really get that and enjoy that.
That's why that's why trivia has been so hard for me, because it's just littered with old hockey players that had cameos.
Yeah, I think the trivia and the stuff about getting the movie made is more interesting than the movie ended up being itself, in my personal opinion. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like the writing like pulled us through the story and made it compelling and made us really care about these characters too much in Slapshot. Whereas like what Kyle said earlier with Walter Matthau's character, you know, he was kind of gruff and he was an alcoholic and probably should not have been around children, but he was still kind of lovable at the same time. You felt like he had good intentions, but bad things had happened to him. And so you were kind of rooting for him and the team to get better and do well and that kind of thing. So I guess that's just my take.
Yeah. I had never seen Slapshot till we did this episode. So this is my very first time watching, long time viewer. But it was really interesting to me in the fact that it felt like all of the scenes, maybe this is more to where that writing didn't really pull the story through. It seemed like it was just the same scenes over and over again with just different kinds of violence. And while watching it, I didn't really care, I guess. And maybe this gets into acting, but I didn't really care about I was like, okay, yeah, they're going to get into another fight on the ice and it's going to be awkward and bloody and okay. Yeah. But with Bad News Bears, at least I felt there was some sort of connection with the story. And like everyone has said, you know, you have some sort of charmingness to the story and to Walter Matthau's character at the same time. So I don't know. It was a different take. I definitely enjoyed Bad News Bears watching it. Slapshot was just kind of, I was like, oh, is this almost over? And see, I don't know that. And again, I've only seen it now 2 times. So I kind of what you guys had talked about earlier about how I don't think I've ever seen Bad News Bears. I think it was on a lot when I was a kid, and I just never kind of got into it for whatever reason. I wasn't really a baseball fan when I was younger as much as I am now, and I don't know. Going back and watching it for the first time, it was just like
the story, both the stories were very, very much run of the mill sports story, underdog kind of thing. But I don't know. I think I thought this. I mean, because since we're talking about writing, I feel like the story in Slapshot was better, but the dialogue in Bad News Bears was better when you compare the two of them. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of the lines in Slapshot are like just like cringeworthy now. But
well, yeah, there was now that you mention it, I forgot. I watched it a while back, and I'm not sure I took copious notes on it, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff, and it says something about the time when this film was made. There was all this stuff about like faggots and all these kinds of really, like you said, cringeworthy things that they were saying, and I just kind of found it disturbing because it wasn't a statement on people saying those things. They were just like saying those things like
Right.
It was normal everyday conversation. And maybe, and if it was a statement on like that, this is how, these athletes are, how these macho kind of hockey player dudes are, then I get it. But I didn't, that's not the impression I got when I watched it. It was a little bit disturbing from that respect sometimes.
That's what it's always felt like to me is locker room talk or whatever you want to call that. Like sports guys are way over the top. The more quote unquote macho a guy is, the more likely he is to say something like that.
Slurry.
Have like a distaste. Yes, right. So to me, that's like a staple of old sports movies. It's like a thing you're going to see. These guys are either racist or homophobic. Some like they just comes out of their mouth. Whoever the macho asshole guys are, that's the way they are.
And I also, I guess I've never seen a hockey movie where they don't wear helmets and protective gear.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So
old.
I found that, and maybe that. Yeah, I don't know enough about hockey to be able to say that this was more true to life, but that seemed really. I was like, what? Why are they not wearing helmets?
Yeah,
that seems really stupid.
Goalies didn't. Goalies used to not wear masks. There was a time when goalies didn't wear masks.
Well,
which is just crazy.
Yeah, it was that. So that was a little awakening. And since Mike said that this is based on some trueness, that is even a little more shocking. Because you couldn't pay me to get on the ice like that. Not that I could skate or actually play hockey, but
you're probably not in much danger of getting hurt. You wouldn't get off the bench very far if you can't skate. You probably are all right.
I mean, we're looking at both of these socially and technically from 2019 instead of back when they were released, so you're
sure,
it's kind of a time capsule. Back then, not a lot of people wore helmets. The NFL barely had helmets, and it's crazy. Like I was just surprised with when Buttermaker's handing out the cups, right? I'm like, holy crap. Right. That's actual safety, right? Like
Right.
Well, and maybe that goes to the fact that both of these films, that the Bad News Bears perhaps stands up better to time than Slapshot does, because some of the comments that we've made makes it sound like, well, that's the way it was, but we never get away with some of those things now, whereas Bad News Bears, it still has that kind of charminess to it, even though they both were roughly about the same time.
They were roughly about the same time. And I think Slapshot is one of those gritty 1970 comedy films, right? Where Bad News Bears... Yeah, there's comedy
Dark
in
comedy?
There.
Dark comedy?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
That's its intention.
Right.
Sure.
You just got to remember the 70s cinema was, kind of out there. They were
porn, violence.
Right. I mean, look at the background during the parade. Debbie does or Deep Throat is playing in the theater on the marquee, right? Like that actually had a run in theaters. So it's just a different time, and I love watching both of them. And I go to the Blazing Saddle defense, where Blazing Saddles today would never get made, ever get made.
No.
Sure.
Because too many people take things.
They're too sensitive.
They're way too sensitive
Overly
on things. And I've always made this argument about Blazing Saddles is the fact that everyone using those derogatory terms are the idiots. Everyone. In
Yeah,
that
the
film.
joke's on them.
In
The
movie,
joke is
yeah.
on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yes.
And
It's clearly a satire on that
right,
kind of
and just like in
thinking
Bad
behavior.
News Bears, you know, when I can't remember the one little blonde. I mean, most of them are blonde, but the one little
That
tough
little
kid.
the kid who fights all the time.
Yeah, you know, he goes,
Oh.
"Oh, great, you know, we have Jews, da 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 da," and
Yeah.
it's just showing his character, right?
Right.
So I don't have a problem with that stuff if it's showing me the character. Now, if it's just thrown in there for nothing, like if someone just looks at the camera and says it and walks away, yeah, I have a problem with that. But I think there's context in there for these being used. And maybe it should still make you feel a little uneasy now, just because that's not generally how people speak anymore. Now, I can say that with a majority of the people that I hang out with. We do make crude jokes. We do have fun, but you know, not getting ready to play a game with other kids or just like other adults. We don't just say, "Oh, great, you know, the Jews, da 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 da," and I don't.
You don't?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know about you, but
Oh.
I still use the
Should I,
Blazing
like,
Saddle
maybe stop
defense.
But there were kids like that growing up.
Exactly.
That
Yeah,
were the mouth
there were.
Exactly.
rude kids that would just say shit. See, I grew up to be that kid. I wasn't when I was young. I grew up to be the one who said stupid shit.
But you
get
do it to
people
comic
laugh.
effect too, because you know.
I
it's shocking.
try. Right. Well, yeah, but yeah, when I was a kid, I was just quiet and nerdy. But there was that one mouthy kid who was never afraid to talk shit to anybody, even if they were adults.
Yeah.
And say ridiculous things and get in trouble just to get attention.
They exist today.
Oh,
They're
for
called
sure, for sure.
millennials.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I definitely don't want to come across as like I see it as, oh well, this movie shouldn't have, because I 100% realize that it was a time and it is part of some of the characters, and I'm not taking offense to it that way. It's just I would definitely say that, I don't know, the movie itself, I didn't get engaged, and I don't know if that was the writing or the acting, or it never drew me into where like, oh, I want to know what happens next. It was so I would focus less on what they would consider, you know, locker room slur compared to the fact that I'm oversensitive, because that I just want to make sure that's not what I meant by that.
Oh no, I've been thinking about this ever since I watched them, you know.
But the argument is the same with Airplane. You can never make Airplane today. It wouldn't be funny, and you couldn't do a lot of the jokes.
Yeah.
And that is
The whole
comparatively,
joke and stuff.
yeah, but I mean, comparatively to something like Blazing Saddles, that's kind of a light version. I mean, Blazing Saddles takes things one step further.
Yeah,
but I find
even
it's
today,
hilarious.
I don't know. You know, it's a really fine line, and even today, you realize that it's satire and it's making fun of those people.
Mel Brooks is a genius. He can pull it off.
Yes, he is. I
And
mean,
a lot of
but
other
it is
people's
it is
hands.
genius.
I mean, he wrote a movie
the way
where
they
they're
did it.
making a Broadway play called Springtime for Hitler, right?
That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Absolute comedic genius. But we're getting way off topic.
We're getting
yeah.
way.
Let's just talk about Mel Brooks
yeah.
for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Sorry.
Let's go ahead and put it to a vote. I think we've said it.
Well, one other thing, the only one little caveat that I want to throw in for writing for Bad News Bears is I love the fact that the Amanda, the Tatum O'Neal, when she was sitting there and they were having their very first conversation, and she said, "We just had all of Iowa pretty much come through and buy
yes.
apps, and I made $85." I was like, "What?" I thought that was pretty fantastic. So I don't know if one of the writers or something, but that was awesome.
One of the things I want to say real quick about Slapshot is that, I mean, I feel like Slapshot does a really good job of making a commentary on the sport that's in the movie. Like it does a really good job of kind of stepping back and being like, why do people really watch hockey? You know,
Yes.
Are they really watching it for the athletic
And
prowess?
at that level.
And that whole line at the end where he's like, he's making a mockery of the sport. He's like, it's hockey. Like this is like, it is a spectacle. People watch, and I'll be honest, it's gotten away from that in the last 10 years.
has.
Thank goodness. But in the 70s and 80s and 90s, people really watched hockey for the fights, just like people watch NASCAR for the crashes.
Exactly.
And it's, there's that bloodlust. And I think that I got to give Slapshot a lot of credit, because as far as the writing goes, I thought Nancy, I didn't get her name down, but the woman that wrote Slapshot did a really great job of commenting on
Nancy Dowd.
what a circus hockey really is and why people go to watch it. They're not watching it for the athletic abilities of these people. So, and then the twist at the end when he goes out and does the striptease on the ice, it's just, it was that like, I'll be honest, most of the movie I was just kind of like, this is not really doing anything for me. But then when it gets to the end, I was just like, it was a great payoff. And it was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is why I watch hockey, because it is just a ridiculous spectacle. And just waiting for people to make an ass of themselves on the ice.
I mean, there's that old saying, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Right.
You know, there's a reason that is a saying.
Yeah.
I did chuckle when the Oregon player came back the second time and had a helmet on.
Yeah.
I do have to say I did chuckle.
I was going to talk about that in the directing. Damn it, you took my.
Sorry.
I just since we're on it,
It was good writing.
literally was on the floor crying because I was laughing so hard when he first got hit by that puck. That was just fantastic, and the guy reminds me of Frank Oz. Does anyone else like?
I can see that.
I can see that. Yeah.
It literally floored me. I was laughing so hard. I had Amanda crying because she was laughing at me. But anyway, let's go ahead and put it to a vote. Let's start with Gabe.
I'm gonna go with Bad News Bears.
Andrew.
I'm gonna go with the Bad News Bears.
Yam.
Yeah, I got to go Slapshot.
Kyle.
I'm going to go for the Bad News Bears.
All righty. Boy, writing trivia for the writing is pretty difficult to find. The only thing that I did find was for Slapshot. Nancy Dowd wrote the script because her brother Ned Dowd was a professional hockey player. He also has a part in the movie, as well as being stunt coordinator and technical advisor. Let's move on to our second round, which is acting.
We'll start with Slapshot. I thought Paul Newman. I haven't seen Paul Newman in a lot of stuff, but I really did enjoy him. His character was strong. He was actually had some interesting depth to him, to where I was kind of intrigued with where he was going to go next. Not so much that I think he led the story, but he did a nice job as this kind of player, coach, player all at the same time that wasn't really sure of himself. At least that's how I portrayed him when I saw it. I also really enjoyed the three Canadians. I don't remember their names. The glasses guys.
The Hanson brothers.
The Hanson brothers. God, they were like, I don't know where they dug those actors up and were like, yeah, you guys, they're perfect.
They're actual hockey players.
That's gonna be
Two of them are brothers.
Two of them. Yeah.
And
Two of them are brothers, and one of them's not.
Most of their scenes were all improv.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they definitely have some of that Three Stooges kind of feel to them. So, and I enjoyed them. And like we mentioned, the Oregon player, there were little pieces of actors that I was like, oh, that was pretty funny. And he did well in that comedy take. I don't know. Acting was really weird for Slapshot because there was a lot of fighting and some really bad stunt fighting. With Bad News Bears, I'll throw out Walter Matthau. Everyone, says that he's kind of he's that kind of drunk, the disgruntled guy that everyone still kind of likes. And I take that as that's kind of a Walter, like every time I see Walter Matthau, all I can ever think of is grumpier old men. He's just this grumpy, disgruntled jerk that everyone just loves. And it really, really shows in this one specifically. Of course, he's obviously younger. And then Tatum O'Neal, I thought her part was great. I thought for a kid actress, she did a nice job. Now I know that she's done a lot of acting, but I thought she was good. I can't say that any of the characters in Bad News Bears where I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. Don't believe that. The only one I had a hard time with was, oh my gosh, what the hell's his name? The tough guy with on the little motor scooter.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah. Jackie Earl Haley. Like, he has been in other stuff, and he has definitely grown up and has become a better actor over time. But man, I was just like, did they need just some conflict? Because he seemed very forced. It was kind of like, we could have probably not done with it. Maybe they just wanted a love interest for Tatum. I don't know. Yeah, that's my top level. I'm sure you guys will say better things or have something that'll make me think of something else. But what do you guys jump in, go, and magic?
I was really impressed. I was really impressed with Tatum O'Neal in this. Kid actors are just really bad, and I mean, this was her second movie, and she was coming off an Oscar win. So, there's obviously something there, but she did just have this really natural charisma, and that first scene when they first sit down and talk, and he's trying to get her on the team, it was such a really good scene. It's not often that you see, Walter Matthau get, acted under the table, because she's like, this is my scene and I'm going to fucking take it. And you're going to fucking sit there and just play against me. And it was great. She
chewed that scenery. You're right.
God, she did. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it's ever happened where I've been like, God, I need to go see Paper Moon and see what she won an Oscar for if she did, and see her best work. So, but yeah, I was really, really impressed.
Yeah,
my favorite character. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my favorite character in Slapshot is Paul Newman's fur coat. He's absolutely ridiculous.
Or his leather suit.
That leather suit.
He had like a whole 70s. Entire suit made of leather.
His pimp coat.
That's such a minor league thing. Like I used to be super famous, and now I'm slumming it in this town. But when I had nice hair and was still going out of the town, this is what I dressed in. And I'll just do it forever. He can't let his glory days go. But his outfits, man, oh my God, they're great. I like Paul Newman. It makes me think of salad dressing now. And one of my favorite lines from The Simpsons, which is, Paul Newman's gonna have my legs broke, when the guy can't come up with the money for Paul Newman's dressing company.
Yes.
Oh shit, that line will never leave my head. I don't know why, but it's so funny. He's really good in it. The rest of the actors, I feel like, they come off as, I don't want to say amateurish, but they are not quite as seasoned as him, of course. And some of them are very good in their parts, mostly the comedic parts. Some of them are lacking. Bad News Bears, lots of really good kid actors. I love the way they play off of Walter Matthau and he plays off of him, or he plays off of them. I love the scrappy foul-mouthed kid, the little blonde kid. Jackie Earl Haley looked 30 when he was 14. And just looked like an old man, and now he just looks like a really old man, but he has grown up to be a really good actor.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, man, Bad News Bears is good. They give the movie a lot of time with just the kids and Walter Matthau, and he obviously knows what he's doing, and they either respect him or are paying attention to him. They're all acting together, and they put on a really nice ensemble performance. And Tatum O'Neal is amazing. Kid actors are such a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get.
Oh, God,
and if you watch the new Bad News Bears, it's lacking so much of that. It has a few good characters, but it's lacking a lot of that chemistry and like the solid performances. And it's much more mean-spirited. It's almost like a bad Santa, but like for baseball, it's pretty much all Billy Bob Thornton did for about 5 or 6 years of his career. It seems like was just cuss and swear and be mean to people. But anyways, I think the acting in Bad News Bears is really good considering you have so many kids, and that can be such a dicey proposition. But yeah, Slapshot's got its ups and downs. I love Paul Newman's character, and the owner of the team is so strange and bizarre in some of his habits and the things he gets caught doing and saying. It's funny. I think it's just a funny choice, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle, that I feel like the ensemble of child actors in Bad News Bears was really pretty good. That they were all good actors. I didn't feel ever that like one kind of like took me out of it and was like, oh, that kid's really not good. They were all kind of cute and charming. That heavyset kid talking about his eating issues and that kind of thing. He was really like. He was really convincing and really like he had real conviction to that, and I felt like I don't know, I feel like Walter Matthau. I don't know what it is about certain actors, but there's something that's kind of like charming and magnetic about them on screen. Even I don't know that he's really like going out on a limb acting wise, but there's just something about him that's really kind of engaging on screen. And he rides that line between being like, kind of a grumpy, angry old man and also kind of lovable at the same time. And that, I feel like that would be kind of hard to do, to kind of like be a little bit of both, and, Paul Newman, he's also engaging on screen. He's clearly a good actor, but I just didn't really feel much for this character and this story. So I didn't really feel all that compelled by him in this particular role. But I think he is a good actor and probably the most outstanding in this film. And you had mentioned that others in Slapshot were not really all that great. Well, it might have been because some of them were not really professional actors.
For sure.
Many of them, as Mike might allude to in a minute, were actually hockey players.
Yeah, I can't. We don't have enough time for me to go through all the trivia on who.
I know. Seriously, players. Like the trivia about that movie is more interesting than the movie itself, in my opinion.
There are some really good comedic scenes. One of my favorites is when they fight before the game and they're all lined up while the national anthem is playing and bleeding and the referee is just seething.
I
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah, there are parts.
I like the radio announcer.
What's his name?
He's great.
I've seen him in a number of things, and I like him. Yeah, he was good.
Now that's what we can do with technology. We need to go back and replace all the announcers in movies with Bob Uecker from Major League.
Oh yeah.
Just let him be every announcer because I think that's like the gold standard for me. But yeah, funny.
Paul Newman has stated up until the day he died that Slapshot was his favorite movie to do. Like he said, it was his favorite movie that he has been in because. And if you watch it, he's just having fun, right? Like he is not being serious at all. He is just he is playing a con man, hockey player, manager, and that's what he's doing, and it's great.
Isn't that weird charisma that he has?
Yes,
he is another guy who's magnetic on screen. Hard to take your eyes off of him. Very
and I don't know what that is.
Guy.
I don't know. Where
it just has a natural charisma. He really just does something about him.
Certain actors have that.
Yeah.
Even in roles that aren't really all that good, they're just like, what was he in? He was in a movie in his, I might have been, what was his last film?
Are you thinking about the one with Tom Hanks?
Maybe.
Road to Perdition?
Maybe.
Cars.
Yeah,
Cars.
He
It
was in
says Cars, yeah. It might have been, no, it was a live action.
So Cars.
But there's a shot, I think, of there's just a shot I think of, and just his appearance on screen kind of just elevated it. Like he shows up on screen, and I was like, there's this kind of like magnetism and this kind of like aura around him. And I don't know.
That was Cars.
Yeah, it was Cars. It's got to be Cars. Yeah, that's got to be it. Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that I don't understand, that certain actors have that. No matter what they're in, they just kind of elevate it a little bit.
All right.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking up his last. Let's see, voice.
Yeah, I feel like
TV
maybe
movie. It was Road to Perdition. Was his last
I feel like it was Road to
live
Perdition.
action. I love Road to Perdition.
Yeah, and he's great in it.
Yes. All right. Let's. Does anyone want to add anything else to the acting category? Going once, going twice. Sold. Andrew, who are you voting for?
I'm gonna go with the Bad News Bears because of Walter Matthau and Tatum O'Neal.
All right. Yum.
Oh, is that what you called me? Yam?
Yeah, because I
Yum.
typed your name wrong in the chat.
Bad News Bears.
Kyle.
Oh, I so desperately want to give this to the hockey movie, but Bad News Bears is better acting.
Gabe.
Yeah, Bad News Bears for me too.
All right. I'm not clicked on my trivia. Michael Ontkean was a promising hockey player prior to becoming an actor and was offered but turned down a contract from the New York Rangers. He played Ned, just in case you guys wonder. Reportedly, star Walter Matthau was paid $750,000, while Tatum O'Neal was paid $350,000 and 8% of net profits.
Wow.
Bad News Bears.
Oof.
80%. That seems hefty.
Walter Matthau, eat your heart out.
She has a really good
Jeez.
agent.
Yeah, especially at that time.
Yeah. Well, like Tom said, she was coming off an Academy Award, so
Yeah.
they paid for it.
You meant to be in your silly baseball movie?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our third round, which is directing.
This is going to be a no-brainer. I don't think anybody can really vote for Bad News Bears on this. Working with kids is difficult. I totally agree with you. But the fact of the matter that there's a semi-entertaining story put together about hockey, that's pretty cool too. But George Roy Hill should win this category 4-0 simply for the amazing low-angle hockey shots that he did.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm with you.
I mean, because I'm just sitting there just like watching it and kind of leaning back and just kind of, yeah, okay, all right, another derogatory term, cool. And then that freaking shot shows up where the camera is like down on the ice and the skaters are coming at it. And I like sat up and I went, that's one of the coolest fucking things. Like, of course you would do that with a camera on a skating rink. And it was so smooth and fluid. And I wish they had done more of it. But I mean, the times they used it were the appropriate times once the skating got going. And I was just completely blown away. So, and I love George Roy Hill. He directed one of my favorite movies. And so I just, I know you can vote for Bad News Bears, but you'll be wrong.
Wait, which movie, Tom?
Wait,
I'm saving it for the end.
Oh, okay.
Well,
all right. I
but-
gotcha.
but is were the shots actually like a design of the director or the cinematographer?
It doesn't matter because we talk about cinematography in this category. So
Well, no, I know, but
what?
I'm just asking. I was just asking.
I don't. You know what? I'll be 100%. I did
Yeah.
a ton of research on it. I couldn't find anything on those shots, on who came up with it or how it
Really?
originated.
Yeah, how they did it even.
There is
Yeah,
not.
because I'm.
Because their equipment was probably significantly larger than what
Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
have available to us today. And,
Yeah, but
and
I
it, it was clearly all real. It wasn't like CG or anything.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, they could have mounted it on a rail sled and slid it across the ice. So,
Yeah.
but it was. It completely blew me away, and I thought, It was just absolutely stunning. But I looked around and tried to fit. I checked on the cinematographer. There, as far as I know, not a slap shot. Disc out there with commentary that would have helped kind of explain it. But most of the people that were involved with it are dead.
How did because I'd be interested to know actually how they got basically the lens as close as they did to almost being inside the ice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And it's,
It was.
and part of it was kind of my expectations had kind of dropped off. Where I was like, okay, I kind of see where this is going. Nothing special. And then that shot came up and I was like, oh, hey, what's this? This dynamic, deep focus shot. I love it.
Yes.
Well, my very first take on Slapshot when it first started was it felt very soap opera-ish. The way it was lit and the way that the cameras moved and the way the people were blocked, I was like, is this a soap opera? So yeah, there were things that definitely changed. I was just going to bring up just some of the fight scenes and how well today there's a lot of fighting in movies where they do quick cuts. You have no idea what's going on, and they did a really good job of staying with the action, bringing it in with a lot of the fighting where they were moving around the people that were fighting, getting in the middle of the crowds of people. Like when they had the one fight that happened before the Star Spangled Banner, and they all are standing there dripping in blood while they're doing the beginning of the hockey game. That fight, like the camera is in the middle of the fight. Like you feel like you're in the fight.
It's really great.
And I will give you props for that, because that was pretty awesome. I mean, with Bad News Bears, it was more of your traditional, baseball outside, nice shots. There wasn't anything that I saw that was like, wow, those are really nice pans, or, there was some really nice setups and blocking that they did. I think we mentioned already the scene with Walter Matthau and Tatum O'Neal, that was blocked very well and is a really nice talk between the two of them where they're going over shoulders. And I mean, it was a well-designed shot, but I guess nothing that jumped out at me. So I hate saying this, but I kind of have to agree with Tom or Yom. Yom.
Why do you hate saying that?
Well, because I wasn't. Well, no, it's not that I hate saying that I agree with Yom, but the movie itself didn't jump out at me, but the camera work and a lot of the directing was definitely higher par than what I felt Bad News Bears was. That's where I was going with that. So
I see. I thought it was.
I just want to throw something in here real quick. I totally forgot to bring up in writing when they win and the referee skates by him. He goes, "Okay, come on, dummy, get your trophy." I don't know why I love that line.
Yeah, and I also have to say that I agree with Tom that I think the most outstanding part of Slapshot was some of the cinematography. Those on ice, like low angle shots were really fantastic. And again, I feel like knowing kind of maybe what they had to work with from a technology standpoint, they didn't have GoPros that they could strap onto anything at that time. They had big, bulky, 35 millimeter film cameras that they had to move around. And they did so with such agility and such precision that it was really quite impressive. And I really feel like that was the most outstanding part of Slapshot. And it kind of elevated it a bit. Now, some of the other cinematography, I think Andrew was right. It did feel a little bit more like TV-ish or soap opera-ish a little bit. But those hockey scenes were really quite impressive at times. Bad News Bears, from that respect, I don't remember anything standing out in from a cinematography standpoint. But you know, you have to give the director props for working with those kids and getting great performances out of those kids. So on one hand, we've got the cinematography and Slapshot, and on the other hand, we've got great performances from young, probably mostly inexperienced actors in Bad News Bears. One thing I should have mentioned, maybe in acting, I don't know if it falls in acting, but there were some shots where Tatum O'Neal was pitching, and they were like uncut, like continuous single takes, and she had a pretty good arm.
Yeah,
she was slinging it in there, and maybe I should have mentioned that in the acting section, but it just came to me, and I'm like, that was pretty impressive. And you know that they caught, and who knows? I don't know how many takes they did. Maybe they did 100 takes and she had 2 good ones. I don't know. But I was pretty impressed. I was like, that's a pretty good pitch at that level. You know, that's not bad. So I don't know. This category for me is split a little bit.
But that also goes back to, you know, again, we know they're shooting on film. They're not shooting digital. So how many takes, you know, and this goes a positive to both, but how many takes of pitching can you afford? Yeah. But look at Slapshot. A lot of those scenes were, I would say, nonetheless, of more stunt-like work, but when they're fighting and some of the action sequences of them actually playing hockey, you know, how many takes did they actually do? Was it, hey, we got it, let's move on? Because it's not like, okay, we're going to do this 50 times and get the stunt perfect because we can do that. It's, you know, we got to get it and develop this film because we're wasting it.
Right.
So, I mean, that says a lot for not just the cinematography, but, you know, the director being able to lay out the shot well enough that he can say, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and them hitting that mark relatively quickly. Even if they did do a couple of takes, that, I mean, they weren't doing as many takes as what we take for granted nowadays.
Right. Well, and then I think that also kind of naturally leads into editing as well.
Sure.
Because, you know, I think, you know, editing any kind of a sports film and having, you know, a respectable level of continuity would be really difficult. You know, and I don't recall. And maybe you guys remember maybe there's some continuity issues that stood out to you. I don't recall any major continuity issues between these.
Bad News Bears. After his car gets hit by the ball and he has the brake in the windshield, there's a shot where he is driving with Tatum and you can see the windshield and there's a hole in the windshield. And then in the next scene, it's just broken.
Yeah, but that's not even like sports continuity related.
No, but you just said continuity. I did. That was the one I pointed out.
I'm not saying that's not a continuity problem. I'm just saying, you know, I think it's really impressive to be able to put together a sports film and have continuity in the sports action in the scene. You know,
it's really hard.
I feel like it would be near impossible. And I think a lot of creative editing goes into that. So I give both films credit for editing too.
Yeah, I've done one sports movie, and it was horseshoes for the sport, and I don't know how many shots I have of people throwing a freaking horseshoe at the stupid peg, just trying to get the damn horseshoe on the peg so we could get a good shot. And that's from close-ups, that's from side views, and then even putting my camera down there and having somebody throw a horseshoe at my camera. It was a lot of pain in the ass. I don't know if I'd ever do it again. So yeah, I give him props for that. Absolutely.
All right. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I think you guys did a lot of it. Yeah. To me, the action is definitely much better and noticeably different in Slapshot than it is. But I think also for Bad News Bears, they made a lot of good choices on what they show. The kids being really inept, they're really good at that, showing the drills and stuff over and over again that they keep sucking at. I mean, that just it establishes a lot about the show really quickly, and it's, you know, showing, not telling. So I like that.
The catcher, when he has freaking a chocolate bar in his glove and he's catching balls, just cracks my shit off.
I laugh so much at everything that happens in that because I played a lot of little league ball, and it's like, oh my God, I'm the kid out in the outfield just looking the other way or picking a dandelion,
picking flowers.
Yeah,
hell yeah, baby.
Yep, that was me. Real quick, I want to run through the director's credentials here. Looked like Michael Ritchie did a lot of TV. The Big Valley, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Felony Squad, Bob Hope Presents, The Outsider. Then it goes to his first feature was Downhill Racer, then Prime Cut, The Candidate, Smile, The Bad News Bears, Semi-Tough, An Almost Perfect Affair. The Island, Divine Madness was a documentary. Student Bodies, he is uncredited. The Survivors, Fletch, Wildcats, another sports movie.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that the one with
He
Goldie
did.
Hawn and Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
That's Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
Or just
I
Goldie
love
Hawn.
Fletch.
Fletch is, yeah.
Yeah, Fletch is great. The Golden Child, The Couch Trip, Fletch Lives, Digstown, The Positively True Adventures of Alleged Texas Cheerleader Murdering Mom, which was a
What the
TV
hell?
movie.
Worst title ever.
Some French documentary. Here's one that just stands out to me because I remember seeing it in the theater. Cops and Robertsons.
Oh God, doesn't have Jack Palance in it?
Yes.
Did he
Do
do?
one-arm push-ups.
So did he direct the Bad News Bears, the actual TV series? Then
No,
okay,
he did not.
Interesting.
They did a
Then,
TV series based on this.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The Scout, A Simple Wish, Comfort, Texas, Beggars and Choosers, and The Fantastics is his last film in 2000.
Huh.
George Roy Hill. Let's see. Craft Theater, Playhouse 90. First movie is 62, Period of Adjustment. Then Toys in the Attic, The World of Henry Orient.
Always in the attic.
Hawaii, Thoroughly Modern Millie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Slaughterhouse 5, The Sting, The Great Waldo
Wow.
Pepper, Slapshot, A Little Romance, The World According to Garp, The Little Drummer Girl, and Funny Farm was his last movie in 1980.
Oh, wow.
Funny Farm. He was kind of all over the place too.
Yeah, he was.
But the writer for the Bad News Bears basically did the Bad News Bears because he did the 2005 one, the series, and the 1976 one, and then he also wrote, he was a writer on The Thing. So he has Bad News Bears,
Wow.
Bad News Bears, Bad News Bears the series, and The Thing,
Like the
Yep.
2011 thing.
the 1982
Oh.
The Thing.
1982.
Wow.
How odd is that? These guys
Interesting
were
career.
just kind of, they were just kind of eclectic. I would say eclectic directors and writers, because that's quite something.
Oh my God.
Slaughterhouse 5?
Yeah.
Really?
Nancy Dowd worked on Cloak and Dagger. Oh, I love
What?
Cloak and Dagger. She's uncredited.
And he did Thoroughly Modern Millie. George Roy Hill did Thoroughly Modern Millie, huh?
Yeah.
That's just bizarre.
All right.
Well,
Oh,
it's a
geez.
totally, I mean, Slapshot and Thoroughly Modern Millie aren't even in the same like basket.
Right. They're totally different films. All right.
Oh, that's
Let's put it to a vote. We'll start it off with Yam.
Yes, well, I go for Slapshot, like I said at the beginning.
All right, Kyle.
Slapshot me, please.
Gabe.
Well, I wouldn't dare go against Tom, so I'm going to go with Slapshot.
Good boy. Andrew.
Good job. Good job.
well, I would go against Tom, but I'll never go against Yam. So Slapshot it is.
Also a good choice.
Yam's
So-
a French Canadian goon. He'll hook your eye right out.
Yeah, you will. Just hook it right out.
Right out.
So directing, there wasn't a whole lot, but Nancy Dowd originally intended the Slapshot to be a documentary. George Roy Hill convinced her that it would be better served as a feature-length comedy.
Huh.
There you go. Talked her out of it.
She wrote on Saturday Night Live too.
Yeah, she did.
Wow.
All right, let's move on to our fourth and final round. Overall,
Do we know who put these movies up against each other? Like whose suggestion this was?
I can't remember. I think it was during one of our meetings.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good matchup. They're both movies about misfits to a certain extent,
Very much.
about older men with personality issues and who've made some poor decisions and are a little oblivious about their lives and their stations. I think the writing is fairly solid in both. They're not overly complicated stories, but I think it has more of a sweetness and a heart in Bad News Bears. Maybe that has a little more to do with Walter Matthau and the kids. You feel a little bit more for them than you do for some of these older, they're portrayed in sort of a dickish, asshole-ish light sometimes, hockey players. But there is a component too in Slapshot of the city in distress and people really struggling with what's going on around them, whether it be in the economy or their relationship or struggling to find out who they are or where they are in life. So I think that's very interesting. Paul Newman is great in Slapshot. The Hanson brothers are really funny. There are some genuinely really well-crafted comedic scenes. Bad News Bears has a lot of really nice comedy, I think, set up by the dynamic between Walter Matthau and the kids. They're both very competently shot sports movies that get to the heart of kind of what sports are, whether it's the lower league, grimy kind of day-to-day aspect of being a minor league hockey player or finding your way as a kid, being thrust into this team full of misfits and, finding a purpose and turning someone's life around a little bit. That's nice. And I think they both hold up over time. They, of course, have very different sensibilities. But I enjoyed both movies. I've seen them both probably a handful of times each. But I enjoyed watching them again and probably would watch them if they came on TV. So I think that's one of the things that's sometimes we talk about on this show is the rewatchability of these movies. I think both these movies are still rewatchable. They still have funny moments, interesting moments, nice little stories. I think they're both good. I don't think either of them are particularly great, but they're both enjoyable films.
Yeah, I feel like I said early on, that Bad News Bears has kind of a place in our culture a little bit. Like people, even if they haven't seen it, kind of know what it's about. That it has some sort of a kind of iconic place in our culture. Whereas I feel like Slapshot, if you mentioned it, nobody would know what you were talking about. And that Bad News Bears somehow has kind of transcended history, and Slapshot has kind of been left in history a little bit. And we often talk about in this category kind of about rewatchability. And I feel like I would watch Bad News Bears again because I feel like it's a charming, uplifting kind of movie. But Slapshot, I really had a hard time getting through. I honestly, I watched it in chunks. I made time over my lunch break to kind of watch this over a couple of days, and I found myself hesitant to go back to it because I wasn't really engaged in it. It just didn't really catch me that much because it was billed as kind of a sports comedy, and I just didn't find it that funny overall. There are funny parts to it. And I also didn't feel like the characters really engaged me much. I didn't really care what was happening to them because most of them were kind of unsavory and really unpleasant, and I just didn't really care. So I don't know. I just feel like Bad News Bears has kind of a beloved place in history, whereas Slapshot really is just kind of forgotten.
I am going to agree with you pretty much for everything you just said. However, I do want to point out, and this may be very odd, that evidently us Americans don't know comedy well enough because the Japanese Academy, they got an award for best foreign language film for Slapshot. So I'm not, which I think is very odd to me. But yeah, I would definitely say that the Bad News Bears is more of that. I don't know, maybe heartwarming is overused, but I could watch Bad News Bears over and over again. Slapshot, it was just okay. You're right. There were some humors, like we talked about, some of the funny parts, and I laughed. And yeah, but it's not one of them like, hey guys, we should watch this. Or if it came on TV, I'd be like, yep, flip. I don't know. It didn't touch me in the same way or make me feel the same way.
Show me where the
I've
movies
seen
touched you
on a puppet. I also found it very odd that out of both of these movies, they did rank the same on IMDb, which I know IMDb ranking is just bizarre. But they have the exact same ranks, which I thought was very interesting as well. These movies are very odd, especially just with Slapshot because of the things that we've talked about. But it just seems very, I don't know. That's just really odd to me. And it's hard for me to say that Slapshot was as much of a comedy as I would say that Bad News Bears is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, one thing I thought that Bad News Bears was a little lazy with, and which we often discuss in this category, was the music. Yeah, I think the music fit, but it was just kind of, I felt like they didn't really have an original score. They were kind of lazy on the music, in my opinion.
Slapshot didn't have great music either, though. They kind of stuck to.
I don't really remember the music.
Stuck to the same 5 or 6 songs, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I'm not much a huge fan of like 70s cinema, mostly because I'm not a fan of much of that came out of the 70s except for like me. And like I don't like Rocky, you know. There's a lot about this. The fashion's bad. The music isn't that good. I mean, it's like wedged right between the 60s and 80s. And, you know, people are like, oh, it was the golden age of cinema. And it was like, was it though? Because I mean, I feel like there's so many people that came out of that and that's the movies that they saw. And so they elevated the, you know, Godfather and Raging Bull and everything. But I don't feel that decade is that much more special than, you know, the 80s and 90s.
Agreed.
And so I was weary going into these, like, oh God, 70s movies. The fashion's gonna be horrible. The music's gonna suck. And
fashion was definitely on display in Slapshot.
God, so
that was really interesting.
But you know, I came out and I was, you know, pretty entertained. I don't know if I'll ever watch either of these movies again. But I don't know. I feel like Slapshot loses a lot for the going back and looking at just like, you know, like the derogatory stuff that people were saying, and I don't know if I could sit through that again. Although I don't know, it might be worth it because the Hanson brothers are hilarious. So I'm still undecided which way to vote on this one.
Well, the one thing that I just want to say real quick, the one thing that drove me crazy with Slapshot was that one song that kept playing.
Yeah,
I can't even. I've tried to remove it from my brain. I don't even know the title. It's just there's that one song, and once you hear it, you're like, oh God, no, please, no, and they play it through like the first half of the movie.
They couldn't get the rights to anything else.
I know.
I was just curious, is the 70s known as the golden age of cinema due to the fact that other people besides, you know, your professionals, you know, your independent films started filtering into the mix? Is that maybe why it's considered the golden age of film? And maybe that's a completely different topic, but I just, you mentioned that, and I've always wondered, is it because people started actually being able to make a movie, you know, like what we do independent wise?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't really know if it's independent had anything to do with it. I think that it was the first time where cinema started to be seen as like an art form, and I appreciate that, you know. and
Sure.
it was also the birth of the blockbuster at the same time, which is really conflicting. But we still got Jaws and Star Wars out of it, and those are, I mean, two of my favorite films. But I just, in my opinion, I think it's a numbers game. I feel like there were so many baby boomers. I mean, there are so many goddamn baby boomers out there, and when you have all of them talking at the same time about their favorite movies, people are gonna be like, "Wow, 70s movies are really popular." I was like, "Well, there's a lot of them, you know." There's a huge dip in the population for Gen Xers. That's why you don't hear a lot about, 85 to 95 and all the great movies that we got during that time, because we're just not as vocal about it.
Well, I think we talk
That's
about
fair.
those a lot on this podcast. So, like, we make
do.
a lot of '90s references because
Yeah.
you can tell we're
when
we kind of hit our peak with our music and our movies and kind of learning the world. But I love a damn good baseball movie, and Bad News Bears is a damn good baseball movie. I'll watch it whenever it's on. If it's on Slapshot, I am a hockey fan. Not nearly as big of a hockey fan as Kyle, but I'm still a hockey fan. And we have the Des Moines Buccaneers, which is they're American League,
yeah.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Kyle? I think Kyle swallowed asleep. Anyway, every time I go to see the Bucks play, I feel like I'm sitting, getting ready to watch the Chiefs play. I love the feel of the Bucks arena, and it makes me feel like I'm inside Slapshot.
Every time.
I will watch Slapshot, even though that song drives me crazy. I enjoy Slapshot just because I enjoy hockey, and I don't know. The derogatory terms, I agree with Tom a little bit that those do bother me, but also I'm able to look past that and just realize we live in different times. And I don't have to be okay with it being said, but I can accept what they're trying to put out there, that these guys are just, as Kyle said, it's locker room talk, and that's just the way those guys are, not necessarily the culture at the time. I did read something about it was rated R, and like in all the theaters it put "Do not bring children to this," like on the posters, like you should not bring children to this.
You think that was just marketing? Because I think sometimes you can use that as marketing.
It could be
like
like
oh my god, this is so bad. Don't
like
ever.
what was it, The Faces of Death or whatever that was back in the 80s? Wasn't it the 80s?
Yeah.
Everyone
so.
had to see it, and it was all fake.
It was terrible.
Or-
we watched those. We would rent those on VHS tape.
Or the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. Like it could have been a little marketing ploy, but I'll watch both of these movies if they're on. I'll watch them unless Liam's around. Then I will not. just because of the leg.
You will not watch Slapshot.
Definitely not watch Slapshot. Bad News Bears possibly, but that's going to be something that I want to introduce him to baseball movies. I love watching baseball movies, and I've talked about that ad nauseum whenever we do have a baseball movie on. So I'll leave it at that. Oh, and the music in Bad News Bears. I mean, really, you got isn't that royalty free? Wasn't the main song?
Yeah,
I can't even think
there
of
was it seemed to me like there was zero effort in the music.
right,
department.
but maybe it was smart. They're like, okay, well, we can't
can't
both
afford
these
it.
actors so much money. Let's just go over here to
But
these free.
the flip side of that is it kind of worked.
Oh, it absolutely
It
works.
worked,
Every time I
but
hear
it,
that,
it was lazy, but it worked.
every time I hear that song, I think of Bad News Bears. Right?
Mm.
Everything. I can't even remember the name of it. It's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, do you guys have anything else you would like to add to overall?
I'm good.
Swing and a miss. All right, let's go, Kyle. Kyle.
He's asleep.
I think Kyle.
He didn't make it. Damn it, he didn't make it.
Kyle's
What did he
actually
take?
asleep. Oh wait,
Unison.
his call ended.
Oh, he's not even
He
on.
literally didn't make it.
Maybe he did fall
Should we
asleep.
check in? Should we do a...
We can do what we did last time. Gabe got cut off. I'll just vote for him.
Oh yeah,
Here, I'll try
we
this.
could do
Okay.
that.
What did I vote for that time?
Hey guys, jerk chicken. I like playing with myself. I'm gonna vote for Bad News Bears, because I haven't voted for Slapshot, except for that one time Tom convinced me to vote for Slapshot.
Hold on, I'm calling him back. I want to see if he picks up or if he just like fell
Hello?
asleep. Hi.
Hey,
Did we wake you?
No. Okay, so
We were
I
just
could hear everything you guys were saying, but for some reason you could not hear me.
Oh shit!
Nope.
Really?
So yeah, so I was hearing you guys talking about how you thought I fall asleep and all that, and I'm like, "Hello, can anybody not hear me?" And then I thought, "Oh, if I come back on, should I play this up for the comedy and answer hello?" But no, and then I ruined that. I don't know. Maybe Unisom has the opposite effect on me because I'm pretty fucking jacked up right now. All right,
jeez.
we're doing overall, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Okay.
Yes.
This is really hard because it's hard for me to vote against hockey. And I do enjoy Slapshot, but I had a lot of fun watching Bad News Bears. And I have come to have this new appreciation for Walter Matthau.
Oh, he's
I really
great.
enjoy him, even though we've seen his worst movie, An Earthquake. I don't know how it could get worse than that shit. But yeah, I'm going to vote for Bad News Bears. I think there's a reason it stuck around in the consciousness. Slapshot is so niche. It's a gritty 70s comedy about hockey.
Yeah.
It's very niche. I like it, but Bad News Bears.
People who love hockey watch that movie.
For sure. Yeah,
Definitely
and it's a
hockey
really-
players, right?
Oh, I'm sure it's huge among hockey players. Yeah.
All right, Gabe.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Bad News Bears because that I found it much more satisfying and lovable than I expected, and I had a really hard time getting through Slapshot.
All right, Tom.
I'm actually going to vote for Bad News Bears because of I already thought I voted for this, didn't I? Yeah,
No.
because of how Bad News. Oh, then I practiced.
You
it in
were
my head.
voting as Kyle.
Yes.
Maybe
Well,
Yam
Scott.
voted, but you didn't.
Okay, well then I'm going to split my own vote. No, I'll just Bad News Bears.
All right, Andrew.
I really want to go against everybody just, to give Slapshot an extra vote. But man, the Bad News Bears, I think I just connected better with that film. So Bad News Bears. Yeah.
All right.
Pitch it, hitting. But Mike, I will go to a Bucks game anytime with you.
All right, awesome. Overall, here we go. I've got 4 pieces of trivia that I picked out. Let's see if they work. Paul Diamato's character, Tim Dr. Hook McCracken, served as the model for the face of the Marvel Comics mutant.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Can you guess
I read
who?
that too.
Anyone else?
I read that.
Wolverine.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you know that and you see that guy,
Yes.
he's got a really brief appearance. But when you see that guy, you're like, I
yeah.
totally
Yep,
see
I
it.
totally see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
I thought that was funny.
The Bad News poster was drawn by Jack Davis, one of the founding illustrators for Mad Magazine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can
see that too.
totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
When Lily moves into Reggie's apartment in Slapshot, you can see this one. Actually, this trivia is just for Kyle. You can see a framed picture of a hockey player on the apartment wall. The player is the St. Louis Blues, Bobby Plager.
Hey, Hall of Famer,
Yep.
retired number, Bobby Plager.
Everyone else is like, cool.
I love hockey.
That is trivia.
That's Kyle's favorite hockey team. So I had to throw that in there.
Yes, I'm a Blues fan.
Cool.
Buttermaker ribs Amanda, asking her if she thinks she's Catfish Hunter. In Matthau's film Grumpier Old Men, Catfish Hunter was the name of the mythic fish that the old anglers hoped to catch.
Funny.
All right, there you go. There's our overalls.
Funny.
Okay, boys, I am going to pull out the abacus, and I'm going to let you do your recommendations. So we will start them off with Gabe.
Oh, man. Okay, no pressure. Actually, I watched a movie called The Best of Times, which is also a sports comedy about someone who can't live down the mistake they made in high school when they dropped a winning touchdown pass. And it stars Robin Williams and Kurt Russell. And I I found it. I had never heard of it before, but I was kind of looking for something that was kind of in the same vein as what we were watching for this episode, and I was ready to watch a couple, 2 or 3 of these kinds of movies, but I was very actually happily surprised with this one. I thought it was well written, it was entertaining, it was well acted by Robin Williams and Kurt Russell, and I would recommend it. Actually, it's a little bit on the predictable side. And there are a few maybe technical kind of football errors in it, but that doesn't really take away from the story and the performances. And if you've never had a chance to see it, check out The Best of Times.
I remember that movie. I remember seeing it on HBO when I was younger.
I have to admit that it was really kind of nice in a way to see Robin Williams again.
Yeah.
It was a role that was somewhere in between. It was kind of a semi-serious, semi-comedy kind of role, because he plays a man who in his adulthood can't live down the fact that he dropped this pass in high school. And you just can't live it down. And everybody remembers it. It's a small town, and everybody remembers it. And his father-in-law won't let him forget. And, but I thought it was really quite well written. Even just the beginning sequence is kind of fun to watch because it's this quick history of that town and what that event and that kind of thing. And it's just really nicely put together. And it was written by a guy named Ron Shelton, who also wrote and directed things like Bull Durham and Tin Cup, and he went on to make some really well-known kind of sports related films. And it was a great start for him. So I would recommend it if you've never seen it. It was entertaining and well worth watching.
All right, thanks, Gabe. Andrew.
I'm going to go back about 8 years, and I'm going to pick actually another baseball movie that I really enjoyed a while ago. It is also based on a true story. It has Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Wright, and Brad Pitt in it. Anyone?
Moneyball. I said that first.
Oh, wow. You're the winner. Really good film. I mean, I've watched it multiple times. It's got cute humor in it. Again, it's based on a true story about them actually trying to use computers to actually figure out how to get players that are going to be successful on their team, and doing it on as low a budget as possible. And maybe that hits home even more with baseball and also, the computer stuff. But it's a really good film. Highly recommended. So if you haven't seen Moneyball, go out and want Moneyball. 2011. I think 2011, somewhere in there.
Something like that.
I believe I've recommended that a lot.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
It's a great movie.
I love
it's one of the
Moneyball.
It's one of the easiest movies. It's one of the easiest movies to watch.
Yes.
Like, it does not ask anything of you.
It's so well put
fantastic.
together.
Yeah.
It's one of the movies where if I see it's on, I turn it on, and usually Amanda goes, really? On some of these guilty pleasure movies, but on Moneyball, she's like, oh, okay, and she sits down. Like,
yeah,
it's
a good film.
I don't even like baseball, but I like Moneyball.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Tom. And Tom, just I know what you're going to say.
You are? You do?
I do know what you're going to say.
All right. So I'm going to go with George Roy Hill and Paul Newman, but I'm going to back out of the 70s because I already told you how I feel about them. So we're going to go with 1969's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It also has Strother Martin in it, so the three of them are together. And it's written by the amazing William Goldman, one of the greatest screenwriters of all time, who also did Princess Bride, among other great classic films. So I absolutely love Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. It's very, very funny. There's probably 10 scenes in the movie that are just they're just fantastic. They're really well acted. Robert Redford and Paul Newman are great together. There's some awkward music interludes in the middle, but for the most part, it's just fantastic. So It's a nice Western for people who don't like Westerns.
It's damn good. I knew you were going to pick that. For some reason, when I was going through the list, I'm like, yep, it's this. It's got to be this.
Yeah, I got away from the sports thing. So sports movies are hard to do right. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, Kyle.
Well, not trying to outrage Tom, but I have never seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
But I just recommended it, so that's okay.
I know. He loves so much to harangue me for the movies I haven't seen. Okay, so I am going to stick in the sports category and recommend a movie I've been trying to get us to review on this show. And it also features one of the greatest actors of the 70s and 80s, Nick Nolte. And it is called Blue Chips. Yeah. And it is a super niche movie about college basketball and the cheating, paying, scamming to get great players on your team. And I can't think of many other movies that tackle that side of college sports. At least I can't think of any off the top of my head. And it's one of those guilty pleasure movies that I must have watched on VHS 20 times or more. But I really do enjoy it. And it has real basketball players in it. Shaquille O'Neal's in it. I'm trying to remember who the other professional basketball players are that are in it. But I really do enjoy Nick Nolte's performance as the coach. He's a real Bobby Knight type, and Nick Nolte is great at that sort of role. But yeah, check out Blue Chips if you get a chance. It's actually a really enjoyable movie about basketball, and it touches on one of the very underexplored aspects of college sports.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Mine is going to be a film from 2007. It was actually shot here in Iowa, and I know a lot of the crew that worked on it. It was directed by David Mickey Evans, stars Sean Astin, Powers Booth, Rachel Lee Cook, and it's about the Norway high school baseball team. It's called The Final Season. I have to be honest, even though I know a majority of the crew that have worked on it, I have only seen clips of the movie. But the clips that I saw was like this highlight reel, and I'm waiting. I know one of the producers of the film, and he's supposed to be getting me his special secret copy that I can watch. Not that, you need the special secret copy, but he said he has his own director's cut of the film. So yeah, check out The Final Season, released in 2007. All right, let's find out who won. Poke the monkey. Getting tired.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Bad News Bear!
No surprise.
All right. Where can people find you, message you, maybe try and get you to play in their softball league? We'll start with Kyle this time.
You certainly don't want me on your softball team, as I cannot run nor field nor throw. You can find me on Twitter at Tyrannosaurus Sex or Jerksitter. And I have many, should I say, services I offer. You'll have to DM me for price listings, though, because it's not technically legal unless we're in international waters to discuss what I offer. So that's that, and I promise you won't die. That's the Jerksitter promise.
Okay, good. Yum.
Pretty much just Facebook now. So still doing video stuff, but not as much as I did last time we talked. So yeah. This is where I make a joke. People can generally find me on the pitcher's mound, aiming for the 5 hole.
Right.
See,
Wow.
I did a boob joke and
Wow.
a vagina joke. And nobody the 5 hole is between your legs. You know that?
Yep.
No, I guess.
And it was baseball and hockey. It was actually really well written at the last moment. All right.
Andrew.
Wow. Yeah, I used to play catcher years and years ago, but my knees can't take it anymore. So don't ask me for your softball team either.
There's so many jokes in that statement.
Yep, there are a lot.
I waited even for the audience. I did the big long pause. Nothing? All right. You can find me out on ArizonaInkStudios.com. That's Arizona Inkstudios.com, where you can check out all of our films of different lengths and different genres all over the place. And of course, then you can check out all of our social media, including links to this wonderful podcast here at CineSmack, so you can see what's going on with us guys too. As to what we're doing lately, we are getting geared up for the 4 Points Film Project, which is a big, huge worldwide competition where we make a movie in 72 hours. So there you go.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Gabe. That's nice, Gabe.
Okay, yeah.
Jeez.
OneGenomeShirt.com. That's about it. I have a Facebook page, but I never go there.
I know it.
I
send you nudes all the time. You never look.
Yeah, they're not even
that's
red
why,
anymore.
Why do you think I never go there? That's my lesson.
Wow.
They're not of me.
Oh, maybe I'll start going.
Oh, mine are of Mike. So you're in for a surprise.
I'm not going there. I'm going back and forth. I don't know what to do.
Wait, what was your website, Kyle?
Tyrannosaurusex.org or jerksitter.de. I'm registered in Germany.
Right. Okay, perfect.
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can find the studio films on YouTube. Just search Southsider Studios. I have been in talks to do another feature next spring, so we'll see where that takes us. This podcast, meaning Gabe, Andrew, Yam, and Kyle, would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Even if you don't like us, tell your enemies even more. Make them suffer. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. For October, we have 2 kid-friendly films on a podcast that is not kid-friendly. It's Frank and Weenie versus Paranorman. For Andrew, Gabe, Tom, Kyle, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
Do not let your children listen to this podcast.
Blow it out your bunghole.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.